Ray opens a milk box and carefully takes down the film inside. When the prison guard is not around, he quietly sticks it on the password lock of the prison door. In this way, the prison guard will leave a fingerprint when he enters the password, then he tears off the film. According to the sequence of fingerprints, 32 sets of numbers can be calculated, one of which is the password. But getting access to the password lock becomes a problem again. So he put his hands into the toilet and pinched the wet toilet paper into a small ball. He kept squeezing toothpaste into it to make sure the ball doesn't dry out. He repeated the process several times and wrapped the balls with a whole piece of paper. He rubbed and pinched it tightly. In this way, he got the weapon he needed. When the guard helped him untie the handcuffs, he quietly stuffed it into the lock on the window. Even if the guard has closed the small window, it can also be easily pushed open from the inside, and he can reach the password lock. But all of this must not be noticed by the guard, so he listens to the noise outside all the time. According to the sound of the door opening and closing, it can be judged that the guards will smoke and drink together after checking the prison, so he will have 5 minutes a day to leave him. It's only the first step to open the prison door. More importantly, how to avoid the surveillance outside and find the way out at the same time. But this is not difficult for Ray, because he knows that in addition to discovering the rules of a successful prison, he also needs to be familiar with the layout there. On the first day he was in prison, he observed everywhere. He found that the fire station was next to this prison, and their ventilation ducts are connected together. This is the key to his escape. He deliberately caused trouble when they were outside. He hid a prisoner, so he was locked in a solitary confinement closest to the fire station. After understanding the guard's habit and escape route, he entered the password to open the prison. He enters the surveillance room and adjusts the time forward for a minute, so even if the guard comes back in advance, he won't find him. After doing this, he opens the ventilation ducts connecting the fire station and climbs in. The prison guards alone on the roof doesn't know that Ray is running away under their noses. He came to the fire station very quickly. He quickly put on the idle fireman's uniform and gets ready to get into the fire truck. But where will the fire come from? That's right. A perfect prison must be harmonious. It turns out that his colleague has already driven a car. When Ray opened the prison door, she had already detonated it. A minute later, the fireman picked up the truck and immediately drove out. He hid at the bottom of the car and followed them to the accident scene. The scene was a mess, so no one noticed that a person came out of the car. Ray entered his teammate's car and successfully escaped. It turns out Ray was hired by the Federal Prison Administration, responsible for testing the safety factor of high-level prisons across the country. Ray goes into the prison as an inmate, then looks for the prison's weakness and escapes. This is to make sure the prisons are inescapable for inmates. For 7 years, he tested 14 high-level prisons and escaped all of them. Until this day, when the Central Police Department offered him a multi-million-dollar deal to test a top-secret prison. Hi. Welcome back to Film Flash. Today, I'll be explaining a prison action thriller film titled The Escape Plan. Spoilers and a lot of actions ahead. Take your time and enjoy this video. Ray and his business partner, Lester, was offered deal by CIA agent Jessica Miller to test this secret prison. It is locked up with heavy criminals who threaten national security all over the world. But the location of the prison is completely unknown. It is not recognized by the authorities, and there is no entry record. The assistant saw that this case was too dangerous and refused immediately. But Ray agreed after thinking for a while. In case of emergency, Ray installed a location chip on his arm and followed the assistant to finish the operation. Then wait to be caught and taken to the prison under the guise of a terrorist called Portos. But he was knocked down by someone with an electric gun as soon as he left the door. They quickly find the location chip in the body and took it out, then drugged him, making him unconscious. When he opened his eyes again, he was already locked in the cell. He looked around. To his surprise, the whole cell is made of steel glass, is suspended in the air. The prisoner dares not make any small movements. All areas are closed. You can't see the sun at all. There are so many premonitions. The guards are all armed and wearing masks, so you can't see their expression and can't speak, to avoid communication with the prisoner. The most outrageous thing is this prison camera system. It can see every move of any prisoner in a 360-degree with no blind spot. Ray regretted it. He even vaguely remembered that he was just on the transport plane. One prisoner was killed and thrown off the plane. This case is too dangerous. There was no time to react. The warden, Hobbs, found Ray and told this special prisoner some rules. Ray took the opportunity to tell the warden his evacuation code. The evacuation code was to reveal his true identity and the mission to get him released. Ray was surprised the warden completely ignored it and locked him up. It turns out that the warden has long been bought by Ray's partner, Lester, behind the scenes to keep him locked up here forever. Now he can only rely on himself. He believes that any prison will have a loophole, so he started studying it. He couldn't find a loophole in the main prison, so he tries to get a separate time in the solitary confinement by deliberately fighting other inmates. But the confinement here is different. The inmate is flashed with a strong beam of light with a very high temperature that keeps them unstable and dehydrated. Despite the suffering, Ray still tries to observe the structure here and try to find a way to find the loophole. Sooner, he found the loophole he wanted. That's right, it's the nail on the floor. He now knows what to do, but he still doesn't know the prison layout. So he can't fight alone. An old man has noticed Ray. His name is Emil. He seems to see that Ray is not an ordinary inmate. He asked Ray if he needs help, but Ray initially ignores him. Soon after, Ray feels he can trust him. He said he needs a 3-inch metal plate. So Emil turned around and told the guard he wants to talk to the warden about a high-profile criminal he's looking for. Mannheim. When he came to the interrogation room, he started mocking the warden. The warden was very angry. He ordered the guards to take Emil to the water room. He took a pipe and poured water into his mouth and almost chokes him. He managed to create a scene and sneakily grabs the water lid. After that, he gave the lid to Ray. Seeing this, Ray reveals his true identity, that someone has betrayed him and he is going to escape and find out who it was. And he can help him get out so they started planning together. He said through the observation of the past few days, he speculated that the prison might be underground. Because the internal structure of the building here is all vertical, and from the confinement room, he can hear the sound of water. That should be the water pipe. Then there must be a way to the ground. Now they have to go back to the solitary confinement again. Emil created a scene with an inmate, and Ray also got himself locked in too. The strong light quickly came in and Ray took out the water lid Emil gave him. The reflection of the strong light was on the nail. The high temperature of the light made the steel nail expand. A few seconds later, the nail was loose. Ray quickly pulls it out. Then he just needed to do the same for the rest of the nails. But wait a minute, why does the water lid reflect light? The secret is here. Ray hides the lid in his mouth every day when brushing his teeth, so he quietly uses the toothpaste and brush to polish it to make it shiny. Soon the rest of the nails were done. He stuffed the bread in his mouth. At the same time, he sent a signal to Emil. Emil started screaming when he heard it, and as expected, the warden turned his attention to him. Ray stood up immediately. He used the wet bread to block the camera. Then he opened the floor. He followed the ladder to the bottom floor. He locates the water pipe and used it to climb up. Soon, he opened the lid and came out. He was shocked when finally came out. It was not an underground prison, as he guessed. It's a giant ship sailing in the vast ocean.
If you have come this far, please take a moment to support us and help us grow by liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
Back to the video. As there are guards patrolling on deck, it's really hard to escape. So he had no choice but to go back, but he accidentally ran into a broken pipe. A lot of seawater flowed in and almost sent Ray away. Fortunately, he escaped death, but that was not the end. His attempt to escape the prison was discovered by the warden, and he began to torture Ray crazily. Anytime Ray tries to sleep, the guard kept knocking on the window and didn't let him sleep. This continued until he was so sleepy that he couldn't sleep. The guard wakes him up with a beating every morning. One day, 2 days, after some times, Ray couldn't stand it anymore. He was dizzy every day. He couldn't stand steadily. Soon he came to the doctor's office to report. The kind doctor advised Ray not to try to escape again. He said that the warden had 10,000 ways to torture people. But he was not fazed by those words. After a while, Ray began a new plan again. Since he was on the sea, he must first determine where he was. So he asked Emil to stab him to get a chance to go to the doctor again. While the doctor was sewing for him, he inquired about the location of the ship. The doctor didn't want to cause trouble for himself. He didn't answer him. Ray wasn't expecting much either. He pretends to fall to the ground and grab some items from the tray. Since then, Ray under the table every day. With a hard paper board, 2 pieces of glasses, a round bamboo stick, and a glass tube, he was able to make a sextant. But he needs to get on top of the ship to be able to use it, so they recruited the Muslim guy, Javed. Javed told the warden some people are planning to escape, and in exchange for more information, he allows him to prey on top of the ship. As soon as he got on the ship, he took out the sextant and used it to determine the latitude and coordinates of the ship. When Ray got the data, he immediately saw that the ship was at the end of the channel. It is a windless zone, so they didn't feel the ship was shaking. The direction of the toilet flush is counterclockwise. It means they are in the northern hemisphere. According to the warm and humid climate he felt when he was up, they may be on the coast of Morocco, Africa. Next problem is to pass on the evacuation message. Ray thought of the doctor, so he took the obligation to find the doctor to help him. By the way, he revealed his true identity to the doctor. He asked him to check it out. Soon the doctor knew that Ray was framed. In the end, he decided to help them send the message. He sent the time and location of the street to Emil's men. After everything was ready, there was only one last step left. That day, Ray was tapping a false code signal on the wall. The warden saw it and soon deduced that it was a signal that there would be a riot in Zone C tomorrow morning. So a large number of guards were dispatched to support Zone C, and that's exactly what Ray wanted. He was going to lure all the guards to Zone C the next day. His companions deliberately provoked gang conflicts. Soon there was a big riot. It turned out that the real riot was not planned for Zone C, it took place in Zone A since most of the guards are already in Zone C. Only few are left in Zone A. The few guards on the scene immediately started firing. Ray sneaked up behind them and knocked them down. They crawled all the way up the pipe. They quickly climbed to the deck, but the gate was an electronic lock. There was no choice but to go back again. But a large number of guards had come after him. There was no way to retreat. Ray decided to go to the power supply room alone to cut off the power. This meant that he might not be able to get out. He still rushed to the power supply room. He closed all the circuits. It was dark in the ship for a moment. The door was also open at this time, and Emil was able to get to the deck and an helicopter was ready to pick him. Meanwhile, Jade got shot during their escape and decided to sacrifice himself to buy them time. Emil just got close to the plane. The guards were also in a fast chase. The pilot said they had to go immediately, but Emil insisted they must wait for the rest of the team. He took the machine gun and went into Arnold mode. He starts taking down the guards. On the other side, Ray disappeared after closing the power supply. The captain took some guards to the power supply room to kill him, but they couldn't find him. At this time, his subordinates turned on the computer to restore the power supply. The water tank made a noise. The captain heard the sound. As expected, Ray was hiding in the water tank. Luckily for him, for the system to restart, the water tank must be flushed. Ray was flushed to the bottom of the sea and emerged from the sea. Emil happened to find him. The captain heard the sound of the helicopter and fires at Ray, but he misses the target. At the critical moment, Emil threw a pistol. Ray grabs it steadily and fires back at the ship and took down some guards, but the guards were many. So he fired several shots at the old pipe on the deck. The captain looked down. His expression gradually solidified, realizing it's about to go down. Ray shot the last shot and boom, a huge explosion engulfed the deck. The warden disappeared in the sea of fire. A few days later, they came to the coast of Morocco. Someone came to meet Emil. It was the lady from the Central Intelligence Bureau who got off the car. Unexpectedly, she was Emil's daughter. No wonder Emil took the initiative to join him as soon as he entered the prison. Ray was hired to help her dad get out of the prison. Ray smiled slightly. He thought it was no longer important. Ray tracked his partner, Lester, who betrayed him. Of course, he had to use the same method for revenge. When he woke up, he found that he was locked in a container with a car, and the container was on a giant ship in the middle of the ocean. At the end of the film, Ray returned to the prison team and continued his prison life. If you enjoyed this video, please endeavor to like, share and subscribe to the channel. That way you will be supporting us. Don't forget to click the bell button so that you'll be notified when a new video drops. Till next time, bye.